Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we'll be talking about the box office weekend, which finally has seen the actuals being posted. And as I mentioned over the weekend, it looked like Spider-Man No Way Home actually had a decent chance to even overtake newest release, giant sci-fi box office bust Moonfall. And man, oh man, it got really close. So we'll talk about that. And also, thank you everyone for understanding not having a video on the channel yesterday and for participating in the poll that I posted on the channel because, hey, we like charts here, we like polls here. And also, according to the results of the poll in the you gotta keep one and lose one, the one to keep, T2. Judgment Day won over the film Aliens. Obviously, both are great films, but apparently, as far as the 465 people that voted in this poll, 60% of those people thought that you would keep Terminator 2, whereas 40% said Aliens. Again, I think both are great films, but if it was me, I would actually agree with the majority there because Terminator 2 is one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. Before going any further, though, into the numbers of a not-so-impressive sci-fi film, at least based on the numbers, please make sure that you smash that like button, line up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So as you can see, Jackass Forever, of course, won the weekend with $23.1 million, so that number really didn't change all that much from the weekend. Whereas Moonfall actually fell beneath the reported $10 million opening weekend. And again, these types of adjustments tend to happen, and as you can see, it really doesn't change all that much. It was only about a 200,000 or so, even less than 200,000, more like 150 less thousand difference there from what the estimates were for the weekend. But what is interesting is just how close Spider-Man No Way Home in its 8th week of release, film that's been out for well over 50 days at this point, came to getting the number 2 spot and beating this brand new release that cost $165 million. So Moonfall, no slouch when it comes to its production value, when it comes to how much money was actually put into the film itself. They actually did indeed admit to spending a fair amount on marketing, as is typical with a lot of these bigger budget films. And man, oh man, the return on that investment has just not really been shown, because we do finally now have some foreign estimates that have been released, and it is not looking very good for the film Moonfall. But just look how close this is. Spider-Man No Way Home, $9.5 million in its 8th week of release. Again, only a 14% drop from last week, whereas Moonfall in its opening weekend made $9.8 million. So a difference of only about $300,000 or so between these two films is pretty impressive as Spider-Man No Way Home. I know, River, it's incredible. It's incredible, River. Seriously, had just a few more people gone to the theater to see Spider-Man No Way Home again this weekend, Spider-Man No Way Home would have actually beaten Moonfall. Like, it was totally within the realm of possibility for that film to do that, and it's just amazing how close it ended up being. So again, I pointed out just how close they were in the initial estimates. It got even closer when they adjusted those numbers there for the actuals. I know, it's insane, River. It really honestly is. And so Spider-Man No Way Home still coming in at number 3, but man, oh man, that was very close for that film. Now, let's talk a little bit more about Moonfall, though, because obviously this is a film that I have not yet seen myself. I've had a lot of people in the comment section have some pretty mixed thoughts about the film in general, right? Some have said that it is just a turn-your-brain-off fun sci-fi film, and that's all that they wanted, that's all that they asked for. And again, I can totally understand that sentiment. I know River feels the same way. River enjoys that type of mindless entertainment. But again, sometimes we just need to go and turn our brains off and escape, right? That's what escapism is. Sometimes escapism can come about in basically 2 primary ways, right? Or rather, scratch that, reverse it. So escapism itself, right, can manifest itself in a couple of different fashions, right? For one, it can manifest as a type of smart escapism, where you are paying attention to the story. The story, it just engulfs you so much, where you're so invested in the characters, you're so invested in the story, and you're loving every single second because your brain is engaged. Whereas the other type of escapism is more of that negative side, but it is still escapism nonetheless. And I know I have fallen into this myself with several films that are definitely not great films, but I still find entertaining. And it seems like Moonfall is falling more so into this category, even for people who are actually fans of the film, which is to say, it really isn't that smart of a movie. It really doesn't have that much as far as compelling characters or storylines are concerned, but there is enough just nonsensical CGI fest chaos going on screen, destruction going on screen, where they're able just to turn their brain off and enjoy it. And so It is getting some, I guess, praise from those people in that way. But as the numbers indicate, really, the number of people actually going to experience this is really just not much of anything. So again, not only do you have the $9.8 million opening weekend domestically, which is already pretty low and just barely beating the 8th week of Spider-Man No Way Home, but even the reported international numbers, $639,000 being reported. Now, there very well could still be countries that have not yet reported, right? This is so far coming from Australia and New Zealand. And this film was said to have released in more than just those countries. In fact, I'll go ahead and, as we like to do here on the program, we like to look things up live when we can. So if we actually look up Moonfall, let's see what the actual release date was, because I believe this film released in the UK. It released in several other countries as well. And let's go ahead and pull this up for us. So first off, I also want to point out the casting, I think, right? Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, who I actually liked in Game of Thrones, but unfortunately he was in Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones fell off a cliff very, very quickly. Halle Berry I've just never really liked much in anything other than John Wick 3. There's not a lot of properties I can really think of that I've actually enjoyed her performances in. Patrick Wilson has usually been solid, but he's also been kind of that standard, like, generic guy who's in a lot of films, but he just plays this generic character. He's never really been known for being kind of like the strong leading man type. I don't know. If you disagree with that, please let me know your argument below. But as we get to the actual release date numbers here, as you can see, right, it was released in Indonesia, the UAE, Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Czechia, Hong Kong, Hungary, Kuwait, Lebanon, Malaysia, let's see, we already got that one, Peru, Portugal, Russia. So look at all these countries that this film is released in. We're not getting any release numbers from those countries yet. And I'll go ahead and even try to look up Box Office Mojo and see if they have finally actually caught up. As I've mentioned in my last video, they sometimes just fall behind so far on these things. So they're not even reporting any international numbers yet. So I don't know what in the world is going on right now as far as why they wouldn't be reporting it. Some people might say, well, Omicron, of course. Didn't stop them from reporting all the weeks of Spider-Man No Way Home's international numbers or some of the others. But if you actually look at these two numbers, though, the international specifically between Moonfall, which is just over $600,000, and Jackass Forever is $1.8 million from less, from the same territory. So guess what? People in Australia who have been under lockdown, who have been under the thumb of totalitarianism, much rather would go and escape to see Jackass Forever, which totally makes sense to me. Why they would want to go see that over a film like Moonfall based on everything that's been said about it. But I did want to make an updated video about these numbers because, one, Moonfall, again, just barely beat out Spider-Man No Way Home's 8th week of release, and Jackass Forever, even though it didn't get to the $30 million as I thought it might. Again, this is a film that was not released in as many foreign territories as Moonfall was, but I thought it would do just a little bit better. But this is also a movie that has not had reporting from places like the UK, where this film also, I believe, got a release as well. Go ahead and fact check myself on that one just to make sure, right? Yeah, you always want to make sure that you have accurate information. Yes, I misspelled that, but that's okay. Luckily, IMDb, despite its faults, and it's so bloated now with the way everything is set up, but let's go ahead and check these numbers. So as you can see, it did get a UK release, Ireland, Iceland, Norway, right? So it got released in several countries, but we're just, again, only getting $1 million being reported, and that's mostly just coming from Australia, of all places, which is not even listed up here. So crazy times that we're living in today with these numbers. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about it? Are you surprised that Moonfall is doing as poorly as it is? Again, just barely beating out 8th week of Spider-Man No Way Home. And also, are you surprised that Jackass Forever is the king of the box office at this point, where, again, it's just a weird time at the box office overall? And also, what are your thoughts about the poll? Do you agree with the poll? Did you vote in the poll? If you didn't vote in the poll, why didn't you? Check out that community tab. Sometimes there are important pieces of information that need to be seen, that need to be spoken, that need to be said. And sometimes, it's been a long time, but sometimes I also, I post some polls, and it gets a lot of fun over there. Also, I want to thank everyone who's recently subscribed to the channel. We are on the road to 25,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, or if you want to help the channel grow, please consider sharing this video or sharing this channel with anyone that you think might find it entertaining or informative or whatever. It would really mean a lot if we get to 25,000 in the next month or so. It'd be a really cool number to hit. Anyway, Thank you all very much for being here this morning. If you like this video, smash that like button, slap that fire button. If you're watching on Odyssey, you're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my Patreon Subscribestar and Locals members, starting off with Patreon animation commentator Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father. Father Damian Cook, Fuzz Aldrin, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymason, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyles 79, Laura, The Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Ellen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, or Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Benden, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. Also to my Subscribestar peeps, UAB Mad Dog, which is Mr. Mike Jackson, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand 4, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Subscribestar platform. And to my 3 local supporters, we got Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, which is once again Mike Jackson, super supporter over there, and Robert Barnes. Thank you very much for supporting me over on the Locals platform. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, please think about signing up on either of those platforms. You can find a link in the description below that will lead you to all of those different pages. It is known as the Willow link, as it is w.lo link, and it will have all the links to that, to the Discord channel, to all different kinds of places, including places to support me as well. At the Citizen of Asgardian level, you get Citizen of Asgardian level is how it's labeled on Patreon. Still need to fix that, but at Citizen of Asgard level, you get a shout out at the end of every live stream and video. If you join at the Army of Asgard level, you also access to a giveaways channel, which is featured on the Discord that I have. I know, River, it is very exciting. It is so exciting, where you get giveaways for things like 4K titles, Steelbook titles, etc. Again, I got some 4K Steelbooks of The Punisher, for instance. I've got 4Ks of tons of other movies, so I'm giving those away all the time. So if that sounds interesting to you, join the Army of Asgard level. Also, at the Keep of the Bifrost level, you get all of that stuff, plus you get access to a once a month and maybe twice a month. We're trying to add an extra podcast in there of me and John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where we talk about movies, and also you get to ask your questions. Any questions that you want to ask, you get to ask with that podcast. And then you have the Chosen of Valhalla level, which gives you access to all of those, and also a once a month podcast where you get to be featured with me on the main channel. We all get to talk together about movies, culture, pop culture, anything really that the Chosen want to talk about, or anything the Chosen want to promote is on the table. So if you like that, join at the Chosen of Valhalla level. Also, during your first month of support, you get a free t-shirt. Any t-shirt that you want from the main store, you get access to, and I do ship internationally anywhere in the world. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.